Tapovanam, Chapter 13. Vibhuti. What I materialize is a manifestation of divinity with a potent significance as well as symbolization. It is it is a symbolic of the cosmic, immortal, and infinite nature of all forms of God. Atma or spirit is what is left when everything worldly and transient has burnt away. In the first place, it is symbolic of the life death circle in which everything ultimately reduces itself to ash. For dust through art, and unto dust shalt thou returnest. Ash or dust is the final condition. It can undergo no further change. In the spiritual context, it constitutes a warning to the recipients to give up desires, burn all passion, attachment, temptation in the fires of worship which makes one pure in thought, word, and deed. It is a symbol of divinity. Vibhuti cancels cancer. Once an advocate arrived at Prashanti Nilayam. He was a chronic smoker. Cancer afflicted his throat. Doctor advised surgery along with radiation and chemotherapy. He desired to obtain Swami's permission before the commencement of the treatment. On arrival, the ever merciful Bhagwan invited him into the interview room. Asking him to hold his palm together to form a bowl, he materialized and poured a large quantity of vibhuti and asked him to eat it all. It was dark in color and tasted like bitter gourd. Swami cajoled and persuaded and helped him finish it. After the interview, the man walked out and went into the canteen for a cup of coffee. As it is, his eyes fell on nearby pakoras. Unable to resist, he ate a plateful. Due to pain in his throat, he had not been able to eat properly for a long time, despite his keen desire and a strong taste of food. But now he noticed he could eat comfortably and relish it. He was surprised. With his finger, he probed his mouth as the cancer affected spot. He felt no pain at all. He realized that the cancer had gone. He was overwhelmed. Flooded with tears, he remembered Bhagwan's mercy. When on the next day Swami called him again in the interview room, he expressed his gratitude to Swami and fell at his feet. He told Swami that he was proficient in Sindhi and begged to be permitted to translate and publish the Sindhi edition of Sanatan Sarthi. Swami replied, "It is only for that purpose that I have made you visit Puttaparthi." From then on, he blessed person has been translating and publishing Sanatan Sarthi in Sindhi. Dono Polo. Tribal leaders surrenders to him. Before its reconstitution, the region now called Arunachal Pradesh was formerly a form of Assam. Most of its people are tribals. They were demanding a separate state for themselves and were carrying on guerrilla warfare against the government of Assam. The government made every effort to please them and win them over. They spent crores of rupees in their territory on developmental programs, hospital roads, schools, and other facilities. Still, the tribals were not satisfied and continued with their separatist demand. In this scenario, one of the tribal leaders fell ill with an undiagnosed disease. The government gave him plenty of medical assistance. It got medical tests carried out in reputed hospitals in Kolkata and New Delhi. Nothing happened. He was not able to eat anything at all. Whatever he used to eat, he would vomit. His friends and relatives lost all hope. Sri Raja, Home Secretary in the state, had an idea that if the patient could be taken to the divine presence of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, it might help. Permission was sought from the Government of India. Ultimately, a group of 29 people, including the ailing tribal leaders, set out in the name of All India Tour and reached Puttaparthi. As they seated themselves in the audience hall, Swami went to them directly and asked in Hindi, "Where are you from?" The secretary replied that they were from Assam. Swami said in English, "Go inside." So they all trooped inside the interview room, walking no doubt, but almost like running in their delight and eagerness. After the public audience was over, Swami came into the interview room. He materialized vibhuti, gave it to the tribal leader, and directed him to eat it. He sat on his throne and inquired, "What brings you here?" The secretary explained, "We have come for your darshan. This tribal leader is having some stomach trouble. No treatment has helped. Medical tests conducted in Kolkata and Delhi failed to identify the disease. He is unable to contain any food As a result, tribal people of that region have lost faith in our medical system and procedures and hospitals. This man is a prominent tribal leader, and only you can heal him, Swami assured him. Don't worry, he will be fully cured. Then Swami began to talk to the tribal visitors in their own language. He talked of their village and their environment. He mentioned how the villagers had thought of building a temple for the sun god and the moon god. As he talked, Swami materialized an intricate circular copper plate 9 inches in diameter. On one hand the sun and the other hand the moon was carved. He drew their attention to the delicate craftsmanship of the plate and declared that the temple proposed to be built would become or known as Dono Polo, means the sun and the moon in their tribal language. He directed the astonished tribals to install this copper plate in the temple and worship it daily. He said, worship of God is always beneficial. He blessed them with vibhuti prasadam and the privilege of touching his lotus foot. The tribals took leave of him with hearts overflowing with joy and happiness. They made their way to the canteen for refreshments. Their leader saw some white circular piece of food and saw what they were. The pieces are known as idli, a rice and black gram preparation. His companions were afraid that this solid food might cause vomiting or terrible stomachache as usual. However, since Swami had granted his divine assurance, they hesitatingly allowed him to consume idli. Plate of idli and the accompanying sauce was finished by him in seconds. Relishing it, he consumed another plateful, while his companions watched in disbelief. This man, who had not tasted any solid food for several years, ate idli after idli, a good 32 of them. The group felt it was miraculous and enjoyed every bit. The leader told his friends, this is no ordinary man. With a little vibhuti, he has completely cured me within minutes of a disease I had suffered for years and years. No doubt that he is God incarnate. He talked of the temple Dono Polo we are planning to build for our favorite deities and created the two images. Let us surrender to him and strictly follow what he has said. Bhagwan's divine vibhuti healed the tribal leader in moments. When we hear about this magnificent episode and Bhagwan's love and benevolence so readily and profusely showered, we are moved to bow our heads in obeisance to him. Wondrous potency of vibhuti. Vibhuti, the speciality of Bhagwan Sathya Sai Baba, not only bestows good health but also fulfills other needs. Patterson was the very successful businessman of Canada. He travels all over the world in connection with his business. On one such travels, he came to India and met Dr. Balakrishna, son of Professor Bhagwantam. Dr. Balakrishna invited him to his home. The residence was decorated like a temple. In the middle of the puja dais, there was a throne on which a beautiful photograph of Swami was placed. Patterson was quite impressed and inquired whose picture it was. Dr. Balakrishna told him about Baba and his divine powers, his love and compassion, and how he incarnated in answer to the prayers of devout and saintly persons of eminence for bringing about the deliverance of humanity. As Patterson heard about Baba, his interest grew. He also felt very pleased. He asked Dr. Balakrishna for something like a memento or a token so that it would serve to remind him constantly about Sri Sathya Sai Baba. He probably expected a photograph or picture of Swami, but Dr. Balakrishnan thought of something more precious. He felt best memento of Swami would be Baba's vibhuti. So he gave Patterson a small packet of it. Patterson felt somewhat dismayed and asked, ashes? Do you give me ashes to remind me of this great yogi? Balakrishna gently remained. There is no ordinary ash. It is divine vibhuti. It is priceless, invaluable. If you get into some serious trouble and think that Swami's compassion alone can save you, put a little in your mouth and pray to him. Patterson returned by air to New York via London. He was given a seat among women and children. They were making terrible disturbance and noise, and he felt unduly disturbed and very uncomfortable. As the aircraft was nearing London, he suddenly remembered the packet of vibhuti and Dr. Balakrishna's description of its virtues. He immediately opened the packet, placed a little of the holy powder on his tongue, and earnestly prayed to Sri Sathya Sai Baba. He asked Baba to see that that he is provided a more comfortable seat, at least on his onward journey from London to New York. When he landed in London, he was surprised to hear his name on the public announcement system. The announcement mentioned him by name and directed him to go to the airline office immediately. When he reached there, he was told that he was allotted a seat in the first class on the London to New York flight. He was immensely pleased and offered to pay extra charges. Officer, to his utter surprise, told him that the additional fare had already been paid on his behalf. Patterson's heart leaped just by consuming a little of Baba's vibhuti and remembering the name of Baba. He could get Baba's hand in fulfilling 1,000 miles away his wishes. He was moved by Baba's mercy and love. How wondrous is the potency of Baba's vibhuti! It is the holiest one, but it also cures any ailment, however chronic it is, and has the potency to fulfill any desire of the ardent devotee. What a miraculous one! Let's use it daily with affection and love. Paramam pavitram Baba vibhutim, Paramam vichitram Leela vibhutim, Paramartha Ichchartha Moksha Pradhanam Baba Vibhutim Idam Ashrayami. Our humblest homage to the embodiment of love and compassion, Sri Sathya Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.